Can I ask you a question? Why do you smoke Old Gold?
Hey everyone, I'm Rebecca and welcome to Watch Mojo. Today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 TV anti-heroes.
Will someone please explain to me what the hell is going on?
I understand he's had a few surprise visitors today. But you tell him he's got one more. The name's William Butcher.
Point is, Sergeant Brody stopped being a source of actionable intelligence fairly quickly, and yet he was kept alive for almost 8 more years. I'd like to ask him if he knows why.
For this list, we're looking at the greatest, most interesting, and most influential anti-heroes in television history. We're only including live action shows, so animated characters like Rick Sanchez will not be included. So which of these characters is your favorite? Let us know in the comments. All right, let's get to it. Number 20, Marty Byrde, Ozark. The first season of Ozark was often compared to Breaking Bad, and it too starred an anti-hero mixed in the drug business. Played brilliantly by Jason Bateman, Marty Byrde is a financial advisor who launders money for a drug cartel.
Say you come across a suitcase with $5 million in it. What would you buy? A yacht? A mansion? A sports car? Sorry, the IRS won't let you buy anything of value with it.
To save his own life after his partner is killed, Marty promises to launder $500 million through a strip club in the Ozark Mountains. Despite running with the wrong people, Marty nevertheless has a good conscience, which places him lower on this list. But he's still a complex and fascinating character who often gets himself and his family into trouble via some questionable decisions.
You really want to do this?
You come anywhere near me, my family, or Ruth again, the next time you see your son, he's gonna be hanging from a bridge in Juarez. You got that?
Number 19, Loki. Loki. Marvel will do anything to keep their gravy train running, like making numerous alternate dimensions. The result is Loki, a crime thriller starring the popular anti-hero who died in Avengers: Infinity War. Premiering in 2021, Loki earned positive reviews, and Tom Hiddleston's performance as the titular character drew widespread praise. This is the same old Loki everyone loves from the MCU, only a little bit nicer and a lot funnier.
I can get behind that, but what's your plan? Don't die. Okay, understood, but beyond that. Don't die. Don't die isn't the plan. It's a general demand of living.
He's taking the character growth exhibited in Infinity War and running with it, offering up a delightful and highly entertaining anti-hero rather than the straightforward villain he's mostly depicted as throughout the MCU. Number 18, The Jennings, The Americans. While it often flew under the radar in terms of ratings and pop culture discussion, The Americans was widely heralded as one of the greatest shows of its time. It follows Elizabeth and Philip Jennings, 2 KGB spies living and working undercover in Virginia during the Cold War.
I wouldn't call him my best friend, I am working him.
Is that what you're doing?
Look, there's a lot of good reasons to get close to this guy. He's already given us some useful information.
The Jennings are richly complex, towing the line between likable and villainous. And the title is not only an ironic twist regarding its protagonists, being that they're not who they say they are, it also hints at what it even means to be American. Philip and Elizabeth proved to be one of the most captivating and realistic married couples on television, which is certainly not what we expected from a Cold War drama.
No, I'm not your daddy. I'm your husband, Elizabeth. What do you think husbands do?
I wouldn't know.
Number 17, Billy Butcher, The Boys. Introduced in 2019, The Boys has become one of Amazon Prime Video's most popular shows, earning critical acclaim for its use of humor and clever subversion of typical superhero tropes. These so-called heroes aren't noble, but corrupt, violent, and highly conceited. No one hates them more than Billy Butcher, a former SAS operative now working for the CIA.
I'm offering you the opportunity to get them that got your girl. What have you got to lose? You ain't already lost.
Billy has no superpowers to speak of, only a handy crowbar that he casually uses to butcher superhumans. Pun intended. Butcher has allowed revenge to totally consume his thoughts and actions.
What was he like?
Who?
Homelander. Growing up as a lad, what was he like?
I'm sure you don't want to talk about this.
Oh, there is nothing I want to talk about more.
He is an incredibly unhinged protagonist, but that's exactly what makes The Boys so unique within the oversaturated superhero genre. Number 16, Al Swearingen, Deadwood. This HBO Western is about the development of the titular town in the American frontier, and Al Swearingen represents the greediest of townsfolk. Deadwood is based on historical events, and by all accounts, the real Swearingen was a nasty man.
I don't trust you as far as I can throw you, but I enjoy the way you lie.
Thank you, my good man.
He would often physically intimidate young women into prostitution and collect on their earnings, scoring the modern equivalent of $250,000 in a single night. Ian McShane is absolutely brilliant in the role. He proves despicable as a homicidal, brutal, and tyrannical ruler who does everything in his own self-interest. But he also proves heroic at times, and helps lead the lawless town towards annexation to the Dakota Territory. He's a fantastically complex individual, representing both the worst and best in politics.
You stay out of this. You don't know nothing about this. You weren't here and you don't have his proxy, so why don't you do whatever you people do when you're not running your mouths off or cheating people out of what they earn by Christian work?
Number 15, Jack Bauer, 24.
Did you hear what I said? That's Jack Bauer!
One of the most famous TV characters of the 2000s, Jack Bauer proved to be the role of Kiefer Sutherland's career. Bauer is a member of the counter-terrorist unit and often thwarts plots on U.S. soil.
Listen, Jack, I sure hope you know what you're doing. Because this path you're on, there ain't no coming back from it. I wasn't planning on coming back.
But to do so, he often resorted to some controversial actions, primarily torture. Jack's use of it has long been contentious, with both the military and human rights organizations criticizing the show for its flippant use of physical and psychological torment. In fact, the U.S. Army Brigadier General even met with the producers of 24 to discuss their misrepresentation of torture and its effectiveness.
I said look at me! You're gonna tell me everything I want to know.
Jack, you're making a mistake.
Don't you even try and pretend you're not a part of this.
Few other TV heroes have generated such a heated response. Number 14, Hannibal Lecter, Hannibal. Hannibal Lecter often veers into full-on villain territory, perhaps more than any other character on this list. Hannibal has long been one of the most famous villains in entertainment, proving a psychopathic serial killer and cannibal who has a penchant for manipulating targets.
You intend me to be my own Last Supper?
Yes.
How does one politely refuse a dish in circumstances such as these?
One doesn't.
And while the Hannibal of the show is no different, the first 2 seasons portray him in a somewhat heroic light. He still aids Will Graham in catching other killers, even if it's to satiate his own bloodlust and turn the emotionally precarious Will into a serial killer.
Just keep it professional.
Oh, we could socialize like adults. God forbid we become friendly.
I don't find you that interesting.
You will.
While few may believe that Anthony Hopkins can be topped in the role, Mads Mikkelsen certainly gives him a run for his money. Number 13, Eve Polastri, Killing Eve. This spy thriller is based on the novel Codename Villanelle, which itself is a compilation of previously published ebooks. At the heart of the story is Eve Polastri, an MI6 agent who's tasked with finding and capturing a killer named Villanelle.
What are you going to do with that?
I'm gonna kill you.
No, you're not.
I am.
You're not.
I am.
You like me too much.
However, Eve harbors a dark personality under her heroic exterior, and she soon grows infatuated with Villanelle and the work she does. The result is a fascinating moral quandary, as Eve must battle her noble pursuit of taking a killer off the streets and her inner instinct to embrace that very same killer.
I like it. You've got
Come the show's second season, she even needs to fight the desire to kill, a fight she sometimes loses. Number 12, Jimmy McGill, Better Call Saul. Some people were hesitant regarding a Breaking Bad prequel starring Saul Goodman of all people, but the results are fantastic. Saul begins the story as Jimmy McGill, an underachieving but ambitious lawyer who is constantly thwarted by his more successful older brother.
He loved me as a brother. He did not love me as a lawyer. Big reason I became a lawyer was Chuck. He was the most brilliant man I ever knew.
Realizing he will never shed his past as a con artist, Jimmy decides to embrace the art of conning and slowly devolves into the Saul Goodman we know and love.
So, we send you in there, you tell them how to do it, and they can't listen.
Attorney-client confidentiality.
Yeah, that.
It's a wonderful and surprisingly emotional character arc, and the show proves just as tragic as its iconic predecessor. We want Jimmy to succeed as a legitimate lawyer, but we also want him to embrace the Saul persona. It's far more entertaining. Number 11, Din Djarin, The Mandalorian. This Disney Plus show is not only one of the most popular programs on the service, but arguably the most well-received entry in the Star Wars canon since The Force Awakens. The titular Mandalorian is Din Djarin, a battle-hardened bounty hunter of few words and a mysterious past.
Help me rescue the child, and you can have whatever you want. He is my only priority.
He is an incredibly ruthless individual who gets a job done no matter the cost of lives. Nothing stands in the way of his target and his blaster pistol. But he also has a heart of gold, as evidenced when he takes in and eventually falls for the adorable Grogu.
You're very special, kid. We're gonna find that place you belong, and they're gonna take real good care of you.
In a world filled with dark and light, the Mandalorian inhabits an interesting and refreshing gray. Number 10, Nucky Thompson, Boardwalk Empire. HBO has managed to secure some of the biggest names in film, and in the first half of the 2010s, they had Steve Buscemi. He played Nucky Thompson, a corrupt politician and the de facto ruler of Prohibition-era Atlantic City.
The day repeal passes, I intend to be open for business, legally, in the thirstiest country on earth, with Bacardi rum as my most exclusive offering. Can the two of us come to an arrangement?
Nucky is based on the historical figure Enoch Johnson, who ran bootlegging and other criminal rackets throughout the first half of the 20th century. Nucky lives a double life as a politician and gangster, and he proves a ruthless crime boss who will do anything to protect his vested interests.
What are you trying to prove? That you've got a better excuse than me for being a crook?
We can play with words, but I've never broken a law in my life.
I'd call that a technicality.
I call that good business.
He has a warmer side, as evidenced through his interactions with his friends and family. Business, however, comes first, making Nucky one of the more memorable gangsters on TV. Number 9, Nancy Botwin, Weeds. This Genji Kohan black comedy is a vicious indictment on American consumerism and the showy, performative aspects of suburbia. This theme is told through the lens of Nancy Botwin, an upper-middle-class individual whose husband suddenly dies while jogging. To continue the family's privileged lifestyle in the absence of her husband's lucrative salary, Nancy begins selling marijuana out of her home.
Give me a little respect. I'm the biggest game in the private community of Agresta. Drugs sell themselves, biscuit.
This eventually blossoms into a full-blown operation, complete with her own strain and the creation of a front organization. Nancy represents the lengths that some will go to keep up appearances, and she does so through a less than reputable source of income.
Listen up, everybody. There's nothing to worry about. You're looking at a fine and probably an anti-drug class.
So no jail time.
You've obviously never sat through an anti-drug class.
Number 8, Nicholas Brody, Homeland. This Showtime espionage thriller was one of the most acclaimed dramas of the early 2010s, earning large amounts of praise for its invigorating story and remarkable performances. Damian Lewis won an Emmy for his portrayal of Nicholas Brody, a Marine Corps sniper who returns to the United States after being imprisoned by Al-Qaeda.
What do they want to know?
Anything I could tell them about U.S. ground operations? Supply routes, communication codes, rules of engagement.
While most welcome his long-anticipated return, CIA officer Carrie Matheson fears that Brody has turned traitor and is working with the organization. She turns out to be correct, as he attempts a bombing underneath the Harry S. Truman building. The is he, isn't he conundrum proves endlessly captivating, playing on very real fears regarding extremists and their actions. Number 7, Don Draper, Mad Men. Just as this show dismantles the 60s as some type of idyllic paradise, so too does it dismantle the idea of the machismo male. Don Draper is that machismo male. He is a stereotypical success story. Good-looking, desirable, and with a great job and a family in the suburbs.
Don, I have to warn you, I'm not alone.
It was beautiful. Congratulations, mein Kommandant.
They called from the lobby. They canceled their other meetings, including DDB. Not just a victory for us, it's a victory for civilization.
But the more the show digs into the character of Don and his mysterious past, the more it reveals him to be a philandering, aimless, deeply unhappy alcoholic with fierce identity issues. He's nowhere near the show's most likable character, and he's often quite caustic to his family and employees.
It's your job!
I give you money, you give me ideas.
And you never say thank you.
That's what the money is for! You're young, you will get your recognition.
But he's a sympathetic soul, and we often pity his unending search for happiness. Number 6, Jax Teller, Sons of Anarchy. Hamlet is one of the greatest anti-heroes in all of fiction, and Jax Teller is basically the modern Hamlet. No, really, Sons of Anarchy was directly influenced by Hamlet, and tells its timeless story through the lens of a California motorcycle club. Jax Teller begins the show as a relatively harmless member, hoping to avenge his dead father and steer the club into more legitimate business.
Hey, you want me to be your number 2, protect this club? Then I gotta know where you're taking us. Otherwise, there's no trust.
But as the series progresses, Teller grows more and more disillusioned with the idea and embraces wickedness. He typically has good intentions, and this helps keep Teller sympathetic throughout his increasing villainy.
You don't ever threaten my family again.
It's a tricky balancing act, but showrunner Kurt Sutter and actor Charlie Hunnam pull it off flawlessly. Number 5, Vic Mackey, The Shield. This borderline hateful man served as a refreshing twist on the well-worn police procedural. Mackey ends the pilot episode by killing another cop in cold blood, and it only goes downhill from there. Vic acts in an increasingly corrupt and selfish manner throughout the series, complete with numerous killings and beatings.
No, so you did it with some pliers.
I don't recall any pliers. I do remember the 8 dime bags of pure H we nabbed you with, though.
He often toes the line between anti-hero and outright villain, and in many ways, he acts as an unsympathetic villain protagonist. His blunt personality and abhorrent actions were revolutionary in early 2000s TV, taking the concept of the anti-hero and pushing it to its absolute limits.
Fine! You're not a witness, and you're an arrest. And this here's just enough to make you a trafficker. You can't do that, man! What, bust drug dealers? You just made my quota for the week.
In many ways, the character of Vic Mackey was a successful experiment in seeing how far they could go. Number 4, Omar Little, The Wire. Omar Little is a great character, providing The Wire with a near mysticism in an otherwise grounded and intensely realistic drama. He is a feared man on the streets of Baltimore, as he robs low-level drug dealers. The mythical aspect comes through in his approach and reputation.
Check it out. Here it comes.
Something ain't right, yo.
Watch out, man. Here come that fool. He's packing.
The drug dealers see him as a boogeyman of sorts, and he often arrives whistling "A Hunting We Will Go" and sporting a duster and bulletproof vest. He's like a living legend, and this proves instantly magnetic and enthralling. He also richly dismantles the stereotypical street criminal through his homosexuality, kind heart, and stringent morality.
Your eyeball witness is lying, yo. Come on now, when you ever know me to put my gun on anybody that wasn't in the gang?
On a show filled with great anti-heroes, Omar Little proves the greatest. Number 3, Dexter Morgan, Dexter. In the hands of the wrong actor or less talented writers and directors, Dexter could have easily come across as spiteful and unlikable. He is a heartless and selfish person who literally cannot empathize with others owing to his sociopathy.
I don't know what made me the way I am, but whatever it was left a hollow place inside. People fake a lot of human interactions, but I feel like I fake them all, and I fake them very well.
He is also a serial killer, even though the people he kills are serial killers themselves. But the writing proved complex and three-dimensional, and Michael C. Hall provided Dexter with some much-needed levity and likability.
I have a family too, Arthur. I'm good for them.
He's certainly not a good person, but he is a transfixing character who pushed the limits of the anti-hero and provided TV fans with some of the most engrossing drama in years. Number 2, Walter White, Breaking Bad. Those who watched Bryan Cranston on Malcolm in the Middle could not believe he was playing a drug dealer. But Cranston gave a masterclass in acting, completely disappearing into the character of Walter White and winning 4 Emmys for Outstanding Lead Actor.
That's right. Now, say my name. Heisenberg. You're goddamn right.
Walter's transformation from a likable, down-on-his-luck schmuck to a cold-blooded killer and egotistical tyrant is nothing short of amazing. It's the result of impeccable acting and writing. It's arguably the greatest and most transformative character arc ever seen on television, and watching it progress was nothing short of mesmerizing.
I am not in danger, Skylar. I am the danger. A guy opens his door and gets shot, and you think that of me? No. I am the one who knocks.
You might say that our #1 pick is the godfather of the TV antihero. What does that mean? Let's look through some honorable mentions, and then we will name the top TV antihero. Kenny Powers, Eastbound and Down. Kenny is a massive narcissist with a penchant for the profane.
I was handed the keys to the kingdom. Multi-million-dollar deals, endorsements.
Barry Berkman, Barry, a professional hitman with a love for acting and performance.
Barry Block, is that what you said?
It's Berkman. My name is Barry Berkman.
Dr. Gregory House, a Sherlock Holmesian doctor with the worst bedside manner imaginable.
Any idea what that means?
It means you're not listening to me.
No, it means I'm ignoring you to make a point. There's a difference.
Jackie Payton, Nurse Jackie, a drug-addicted nurse who makes some grossly unethical decisions.
Okay, listen, this has got to be hard for you.
What's hard for me is that you've been using this whole time.
Boyd Crowder, Justified, a good friend of Raylan's who has turned to criminality.
Devil, this road you seem bent on taking, once you go down it, there ain't no coming back. Now I'm offering you a way out here. You choose to take it.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. #1, Tony Soprano, The Sopranos. Of course, none of these characters would exist if it weren't for Tony Soprano. Tony is perhaps the most influential and revolutionary antihero ever seen on TV. And The Sopranos kickstarted a wave of similar crime dramas with antihero protagonists that spread throughout the 2000s.
This isn't gonna work. I can't talk about my personal life.
His influence aside, Tony is also a rich and deeply compelling character in his own right. His life and story touch on many themes regarding 21st century America, and he loves his family just as much as he hates his enemies. His flaws are numerous and hard to overlook, but he also proves both likable and relatable.
I've always been sorry I said that. You were my guy. You could be so sweet. Nobody could make me laugh like you.
James Gandolfini, David Chase, and Chase's team of writers and directors worked cinematic magic and made TV history in creating Tony Soprano. Lists like this always make me realize how many shows I watch that are centered around anti-heroes or just like really terrible people. Like, would you consider the main characters of Seinfeld to be anti-heroes? Let's talk about it in the comments. Or come tell me on Twitter or Instagram at Rebecca Brayton or on my YouTube channel. See ya. Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.